And let's get into the big dogs, into the AFL, and we're in the AFL in the locker room.
Yep.
Brought to you by the Foot Doctor, a fantastic new sponsor.
Isn't that
down on
great?
Hunley Road.
Fantastic, yeah.
And a nice little mention as well. Healthy feet, happy athlete.
Yeah.
Nice little slogan from the
good
Foot
little
Doctor
slogan,
as well. You don't mind that at all. But fantastic week in footy.
Wasn't it great?
Both local teams getting the wins.
Well, that's 2 weeks in a row now, so it's so important. But what I like about it, it's the young ones who have been the exciting part of their machine. Okay, the stability and when you come to your Sloans and your Crouches and your Bokies and those types of players, but the exciting aspect is the young ones, your Bonners and your Burtons and the kids, of course, Rosie Dersma and Butters, and look on the other side of the ledger, you got Elliot Himmelberg and Murphy and Keith and those sort of players.
Yeah.
They just give that. They're exciting.
It's
exciting, and I know Kevin Sheedy always says, the experienced players gives you the stability of the team. You need young players to be, to give you the excitement. For the older players to say that was great. That was great. So and I think it's a really nice balance because all of a sudden Bokie's playing great footy.
Yeah.
Tex is back.
Bokie's
Salone's back. The Crouches are back. And
just lightening the load, isn't it? But there's a bit of play on Friday night.
And that's what happens. Yeah.
A bit of play on Friday night where the whole stands was in the Audi Club and everyone's just gone, how good was that? And it was Zach Butters turning around and Rosie coming over the back to take a grab and have a shot on goal.
Well, they say
plays like that everyone in the stands, even myself, go, God,
you don't see a lot of that anymore. You don't see basically little areas of standing ovations. And I saw that Rosie do a little flick and a flick and a flick, and there's a evasive skill of, it reminded me of young Craig Bradley. Yeah. I know that a lot of people say that Dersma is a young Craig Bradley, but for me personally, I think Rosie's fleet-footedness really does look like Braddle's from when I played back in the 80s, and it was a standing ovation stuff. It really was. It was fantastic to see.
I want to talk Dersma for a second. What did you make of the celebration, the guitar after he kicked the goal? Did you see it?
Yeah, it's all good. I mean, look.
Reckons he's going to keep doing it as well.
When you win, you can do what you want. Look, all of a sudden you lose 2 in a row, you're not doing it anymore. So keep him happy, and that's a style. When you win, do it. When you're under the pump, focus on the game.
Did you watch Brian Taylor's BT roaming in the rooms after the game as well?
I missed that, but what
just interviewed Dersma's girlfriend who let slip that she was still in school, and BT didn't really know what to say, which was made for good TV.
I did read about that, and I would have stumbled over that one. Let me tell you,
certainly made for good TV at least. But Port, where do you see them at the moment? They're playing some terrific footy. Are they a top 4 chance?
Look, there's no questions of top 4. I mean, look, if they lost to Richmond, they should never have lost to Richmond, and the other game they shouldn't have lost to Brisbane, I reckon it was. So they probably should be 6-0 at the moment. So they're sitting nicely 4-2. They're playing some great footy. And they're certainly a top 4 in my book. It's certainly a top 4. And I've always thought the Crows, once they got their disposal right, when you look at Brad Crouch and even Matt at times Sloan, going to their forward line was sometimes a little bit inaccurate.
Yep.
And that's obviously some pressure from the opposition as well. But once that got going over the last fortnight, the Crows have looked like a top 2 team.
Yeah.
They really have. So it's going to be interesting this week. Now they play Freo, who are second on the table.
Yeah, the one that's going to hurt the Crows is dropping the game to North Melbourne that they should never have dropped.
No question. Yeah, when you're 4 or 5 up. But funny enough, Port were 4 or 5 up as well, and all of a sudden they're hanging on the dear life with 5 minutes to go as well. So something about North Melbourne there, when their back's against the wall, they've seen a lot of
Shimbo spirit they're trying to say, which there's not much of at the moment. But did that concern you, seeing North come back at Port, or was that a bit of Port just calling the Jets a little bit?
It was really funny because I actually thought, geez, I wish the siren would go now. So no, there's no injuries, and I looked at the clock, it was about 19-minute mark, and it was funny once
40+ bets.
Once I thought that, all of a sudden the whole thing turned around, and I thought, well, what did I think that for? Because all of a sudden North got their momentum.
Yeah.
So I think it was they really threw everything at North.
Yeah.
And I think they might have been playing to the siren. That's my own feel.
Yeah.
And again, it breeds once one or two players start just thinking, well, we only got 10 minutes to go. We've got plenty of on the board.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, it happens quite often. As we know.
We're talking about the kids, and there's probably not bigger four kids in the competition at one club than your Rosie, Dersma, Butters, and Drew. I don't think there's a better combination of kids at a club playing AFL footy and contributing the way they play.
I think there's no question. It's just so exciting. It probably reminds me a little bit Hawthorn, those early sort of 2000s, quite a few Brisbane, when they won their 3 out of their 4, whatever it might have been. And the Swans, they put in a whole lot of youngsters.
Yeah.
The youngsters, they shone.
They're excited,
and they showed their tricks. And I just think it. You must, for Brad Ebert to be, his work rate, he's always under the pack. But to see these young players, it must be just like a breath of fresh air for him to say, "Well, I really enjoyed watching that, guys." Westhoff the same. So I think they're probably the 4 of the best going around at the moment.
Do you think the clubs, depending on where the kids can go, what club can actually has a big impact on how they become as a player as well? You look at these kids that go into a side with really good players around them and they're shining, but then you look at a Sam Walsh at Carlton who aren't going as well, but he's dominating. But you look at some of the other high draft picks around that are actually struggling at some of those middle of the road clubs. Can it depend on the club that you go to?
There's no question there. I mean, Port was really disappointing last year, and you've got to remember that 6 weeks out they're in the top 4.
Yeah.
And they just fell off the cliff. It was just amazing. Yeah. But 6 weeks out, that side was second. They were fighting for whether they're going to finish second or third.
They weren't a horrible side last year.
Fantastic. No, well, like I said, they were in the top 4. With 5 games to go. So they go into a side that they knew they had a great base.
Yeah.
And they knew they were a lot better than they were the last 2 months of football last year. So those young kids were coming to a side that had the experience.
Yep.
They're a good side. They just needed just a little bit of polish.
Yeah.
And it just worked for them. So you're right. It is a bit about timing, and you look at some really young players going to Carlton. They're building, but they should have beaten Hawthorn last week. It could have been 2 in a row.
They should have.
And I'm sort of thinking, well, they're probably only a year away from probably where Port probably are at the moment.
Yeah. And Ryan Burton, obviously involved in the Wingard trade coming over. Do you tick that off at the moment? How do you see his form?
I tick it off. I think Wingard, the last part of last year, he looked like he needed to be rejuvenated.
Yeah.
He probably is now at Hawthorn. Kicked a couple of goals on the weekend, great. And for Ryan Burton to come into the Port side, it's given him a bit of a leadership sort of opportunity as well. Even though he's very young, but he's pretty cool head.
Yeah,
he's a very cool head. Yeah. And look, we go across to West Lakes and it's just as many good things happening there as well.
Yeah.
That when you look at, I'm really impressed by that Himmelberg.
Blake Keith is down back.
Adelaide smashed Centrals last weekend, so they got lots of really good players trying to knock on the door, and hard to make a change.
Yeah, do you think both go in unchanged this week? No injuries from memory?
Well, we have got Robbie Gray's out for 4 weeks.
Gray's out.
Yep.
So does that bring Jack Trengove in? You think he has been dominating?
Look, he's just dominating the SNFL. I scratched my head a little bit why he's not into the lineup, but it's a hard call. I reckon there's 3. I reckon there's 3 players, and he's one of 3.
Yeah.
So.
And we'll go over to the Crows. Let's talk a bit more about them. Rory Sloane probably last year struggled with lack of pre-season injuries. The foot was obviously a big one. How good has he been this year? For the Crows already.
Well, he's just a workhorse. He's a heart and soul.
My favourite player in the AFL.
Oh, look, he's absolutely brilliant. And you could see that he was hurting when they were losing, as they were, and he he never throws a towel in there, you know. And I just think that you know, he's been rewarded the last couple of weeks, and I think right now he's saying we're at a good spot. You know, we're going in the right direction, and there's probably not too many sides I think at the moment are sort of much are too far in front of the Crows or Port. So you know, we're looking pretty good.
Ando, another great show tonight from the Elmer, mate. Now be sure, don't forget, you can find all this on our Facebook. I know you're all over it with the Facebook as well. So we've got it on our Facebook, on YouTube. Search the SA Footballer TV. We've got over 150,000 supporters, and it's growing each and every week. It's fantastic.
I do want to say one thing. It's just well done to the Thunderbirds. I know it's football. We're going to netball. Well done the Thunderbirds last week. It's their first win for 798 days. And they're a premier side for South Australia. So well done and good luck. I think they're playing in Sydney this week. So it's a good story. They start the year off with a win. So that's fantastic.
Beautiful. Jump onto the Facebook before the bounce. Check out all the news and all the footy gossip.
We'll be back next week.
Back for another week.
Next week.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Enjoy it. Thanks.
Ando, back for another week, mate. How good's this? Another part of the Alma
again. Live at the Alma. So thanks to the Mark Rasciutos over there.
Bruce over in the back as well, taking the photos, doing a few autographs. But mate, we're here with current coach at Glenunga in Johnny Cunningham for the SNFL Total Recall, brought to you by our great sponsors down at Peter Page Holdings.
Oh, good. Johnny, you had a fantastic career with Norwood. What I didn't realise that you came from Geelong.
Yes, I know. I was raised in Melbourne, obviously, and I'm a Melbourne boy, and drafted to the Cats. Had 3 years there, and then got delisted at the end of '95, and juniored over the border with Peter Road. He got the job at Norwood as the coach, and I sort of, Rhodey and I had played against each other in the twos. He was at the end of his career at Melbourne, and I was a young guy at Geelong, and we sort of followed each other over to the Red Leagues, and it just went from there.
How did you find the league? I mean, obviously they'll have said, "Oh, look, our league's fantastic. You've got to come over to SNFL, which is the next best thing." It is the next best thing by far, isn't it?
Oh, it's certainly back then. I think it's changed a lot since those days, Ando. But I found when I came over, it was a really good standard, and I would honestly say our teams in certainly '96 and '97, even the Port teams that we come up against, would have easily challenged some of the bottom 4 teams in the AFL at that time. There's no doubt about that. There was a lot of
maturity on there when you look at some of the players that you had, and
great players.
There were some players that had a lot of longevity, but also had lots of AFL experience as well.
So it was great time. Really loved every minute of it.
Yeah, of course you did. You're on a premiership, and you had a great career.
And you talk about how the SNFL was back then, John. What's some of the biggest changes that you see from today's SNFL competition to back then?
Well, obviously, the Crows and what's happened to the Port Magpies and the influence of the two AFL teams in the one town. I think since '97, '98, there's definitely been a gradual shift away from the strength of the SNFL. But I think it still is a good competition. Certainly is different. Like when we were playing, you had a fairly strong overall A grade and B grade sort of group, whereas now it's very much a senior SNFL team and then a lot of young kids. So it's a real balance for the clubs these days to have success. So
you did touch on the Crows team and also the Magpie side, which I find they still probably haven't got that right. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, look, it's very much, I think, Brendan Sanderson, when he came over, his influence was to really push for having his Crows list all under the one
I reckon that's
umbrella.
Worked.
And it's probably worked for them. Probably difficult more for Port because they already had a Magpies team, and it's more a club structure thing. But I think the longevity, for Port to be successful in the long term, that's the structure they have to have, and it's probably at the detriment of the tradition of the Magpies, I suppose. But that's.
We'll just go back to the tradition of the Magpies.
Oh, here we go.
We're talking '96, and that was before the Power joined. And look, I won't even bring up Scotty Hodges' goal. I know you want to talk about that. But Norwood Port, you must have just thought, what's going on when you first, sort of went out to whether it was Alberton or the Parade, and you saw that crowd against Port Adelaide.
It was for me, having grown up in Melbourne and been to growing up in Windy Hill and Princes Park and the traditional homeland rivalry, Carlton, Collingwood, Essendon, Hawthorn. When we played the Magpies at Alberton my first time, I'll never forget the club actually sat us down. There was about 6 or 7 of us who were recruits from Victoria, and they actually sat us down and said, look, you're playing Port at Alberton. This is what you need to expect. It's a big rivalry. It's been going on. And we sort of came out of the meeting going, crikey, what's going to happen? What's going on? We're going to drive down this Port Road and never come home.
There's a cemetery on the side.
Carried out in a box. but Port, it was actually Port Adelaide at that time played an exciting brand of football. Yes, they were sort of hard at it, but when it was game on, it was knock it forward, it was kick goals, it was play a really exciting brand of winning football.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I learned on that day. And it was I think we were level at half time, and then Port kicked 12 in a row. So it was just one of those days where you learn about the Port power, the power of Port, and I suppose that's where the name came from. I suppose, but it was. On the return bout, we had a win back at home at the parade. So it was a great experience. Really good. Yeah, loved it.
And Johnny, you talked about obviously coming over from Geelong to SNFL footy. How did you find in the training standard coming over from the Victorian competition to the South Australian one?
I suppose we were certainly going into really professional mode in Melbourne. Like they were. At Geelong, we started training in the middle of the afternoon. I think we were one of the first clubs in the competition. I think Melbourne, Geelong, we started training at 2 in the afternoon on a Tuesday, which was the first that anyone had ever done that.
Yeah.
So when I came over to the SNFL, the guys were very fit, but just probably not quite as professional as, or been exposed to that professionalism.
But not far from it.
No,
you think these are semi-professional, professional, when you think...
And certainly very fit. Like the programs, like Neil Craig had installed a pretty serious fitness program, so that had carried over. So a lot of the guys that I first met when I came over were super fit and trained hard. Yeah.
Nord last year lost the grand final. It was a great grand final against North Elephant. It was a super grand final. They're doing really well this year. The 5-0. They're just going along nicely. They're back at their top game.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously last year, they went in as red hot favourites and got rolled. So it can go either way. You can either drop off and lose the hunger to come back and try and win it, or it's obviously stung them a bit. And at this stage, they had a few close ones which they were lucky with.
Yeah.
So they could have easily been, 2 and 3, but they're sitting nicely at the moment.
I'm really surprised with Eagles this year. They're really struggling down the bottom. So is North. The both sides. I think they threw everything in last year, and looks like they've really had a really bad hiccup to the start of the year.
Yeah, I think North have obviously been hurt a bit by the draft.
Yep.
And that does hurt you. It's hard to replace if you've had 4 or 5 kids who are stars and you lose them. It's hard to replace.
They lost a couple of mature age
as well. And look, the Eagles are a very strong club and always have. They've been up and around there for the whole time I've been in Adelaide. They've been a strong. Always had a strong program. They'll
bounce back. They're 1 and 4 though, so
things can turn quickly.
But tell us some of the great players in your time that you got to play with and against. What were some of those names from that time?
Well, obviously as a teammate, Macca was great.
You can't say Gary McIntosh.
Okay, all right, done there. We had some good rivalries. The Magpies had their stars, and in the grand final '97. There was obviously some stars like the Burgoynes and they had some ripper players. So it was always and certainly on ball you had a challenge every week as there was some quality on ballers always. So you're always up against it. Yeah.
A couple of funny teammates. I'm sure you would have liked to have a beer with and had a few.
It was certainly a few. The Nord guys. I mean, there was the Heppel brothers. They were quite entertaining.
Yeah.
Rack and Mel Heppel were very funny. The big Andrew Pascoe, he was always good for a laugh, never very serious. Stephen Pitt was probably the most laid-back people before a game.
He's a really nice guy. So
And Pitty was one of those guys you could
not.
not understand how relaxed he was before a game. It was ridiculous. He'd be like,
He's a unit too.
but he just had that ability to switch on and play a great footy.
What are your best players that you played with, during your time at Norwood?
Well, I love playing with the halves. Halves and I obviously had a good connection on ball, and we actually didn't get to play a lot together because either one of us was injured or he was injured, or and that was but when we were playing together, we
had some strong names in. I'm actually starting to recall a lot of my nightmares that I had when I was coaching South Adelaide against Norwood, and I think you racked up a couple of 40s against us, which was great.
Standard.
Yeah, it's just standard. Just a standard. I'm starting to sweat already. So it was a great era for you.
Yeah.
It's a great
it was some wonderful players, and it's all a bit of a timing. But to have so many of us come over, I think we're all sort of 21, 22, and came out of the system in Victoria, and to head over here to play was. It was a great time in your life, and you just footy was your life, and that was what it was all about. So it was good fun.
Thanks for joining us before the bounce.
No,
really appreciate it.
All good.
And we're back after this.
Cheers.
Endo, great show so far, and a brilliant interview just then as well. But let's move on with the show. Amateur League Intel, it's called this year.
Yep.
Brought to you by there last week, the Exchange Hotel. Beautiful spot. I've been caught there a bit too much lately.
That was a lovely spot last week, and the schnitzel I had afterwards, very nice, Simon, let me tell you. But introduce Simon Burns, the president of the CBC Football Club, all collegians there.
Thank you, Anna.
But probably, if you look at your history at CBC, you've done everything. You're best and fairest winner.
Yep.
You've been the past captain.
Correct.
President of the club.
Yes.
You've done a lot there, haven't you?
You missed out state representative.
Oh,
as well.
sorry. I did miss out on
So-
that. I reckon a guy called Rocky Butterworth left that very important part off the notes on purpose.
Could have also nominated myself as the 11th best player of all time at our 40th anniversary dinner. Didn't put myself in the top 10, but nearly got it. Gave it a go.
Good.
Very generous.
Very, very good. Very good. So it all going well this year.
Yeah, look, we've come
Dolphins,
up
isn't it?
The Dolphins,
Good,
mate.
the Dolphins.
You've spot on.
Yeah.
Look, we've come up a division from Division 5. We've, as I said to someone last week, we've probably need to adjust.
Yeah.
There's a lot of free kicks being paid this year, so we've got to.
So you find there is a real adjustment from
I think
the 5 to 4?
I think Division 5, for those that know Division 5 footy, is pretty combative. So it's a pretty physical brand. Obviously, the skills are not quite there, so the ball's on the ground a bit more. And you've got a bit more contested footy. Obviously, we've gone up a division. Maybe the game's a little bit faster. It's a bit more open. And we've just got to adjust a bit to the style of the game.
So is that something that the boys they're working pretty hard on at training at the moment, or something they come into the season knowing?
Well, look, I think the video has revealed many things. So
it's a beautiful technology.
It is a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. So I think the coaches have been sort of pulling the first 3 rounds apart.
How did you get to CBC? I mean, what was the...
That's a good question.
Yeah, I mean, I know you've been there for a long time, but what's the journey for Simon Burns?
Well, the journey for me was played my junior footy at Victor Harbour.
Okay.
Most of my junior footy there. Came up to the city to go to uni. Victor obviously wanted me to... I was playing footy at South Adelaide. So
I knew that you were at South Adelaide. I was waiting for that.
So I've been playing juniors, 17s and 19s at South. Victor sort of wanted me to go back there to play. I was at uni, country kid in the city. Even though Victor Harbour's not really...
now still gets classed as country.
Well, back then we didn't have a McDonald's, right? You had to go to Hackham to get a hamburger, right? So you didn't want to sort of punt your city lifestyle. So I thought, no, I'll stay up in the city. I had I guess I had a bit of a disagreement with John Reid, who was the then coach at South. I thought I was a really good player, and he thought I was rubbish. So,
that's always that balance in the...
So I was out the door, and obviously looking for a place to play. And my cousin, who was a CBC, so my plan was I'd had sort of glandular fever in that year where I would have been in the reserves had I been getting a game. So I hadn't really done a pre-season, and
it's tough.
So my theory was Reedy's got no idea.
Yeah.
I'll go and play a season, maybe back at Victor or
Yeah.
amateur footy, and then I'll go to another league club.
Yeah.
That was the plan,
Yeah.
right? So my cousin rang me and said, listen, he went to CBC and he was playing with the old scholars,
Yeah.
and he said, why don't you come out for a game?
Yeah.
So I wandered out to the East Parklands. There's 7 people, at training. There's a new coach, a bloke that I'd not met before, a fella
Yeah.
called Aldo Floriani.
I was going to say Aldo Floriani. He was played for West Torrens.
Absolutely.
He was a legend.
Great,
West Torrens,
So I started. I had no idea they were purple and white.
Yeah.
Would have never played for them. When I played my first trial game and they've handed me the jumper, I've gone, what the hell is this? Oh yeah, mate, we're purple and white. Didn't you know? No,
No, I
did
didn't
not
know. No, not at all.
So, but anyway, started there, and sort of halfway through that year, and this was no disrespect to the people at South Adelaide at the time, but I quickly realised that this guy Aldo was a good coach.
Yep.
I was enjoying.
Just worked for you.
Yeah, it did. He
Really
was a
yeah.
school teacher, principal. That was my sort of career pathway.
Yep.
And I, as a young guy, he communicated well with me. I was clear on what I had to do out on the field, and I was playing well.
Yep.
And I just, 30 years later, I'm still
30 years
still
later.
there. Yeah.
And Simon, a long list of personal achievements. One missing premiership player.
Yes.
How
You have done some
close?
homework here.
You've done some
Matty, I
homework,
know.
Matty. Well done. King of the North. That's the word.
Yeah,
Nothing
no,
past
well
the
done.
end, though?
No, so Aldo's second year was not. So his first year was 89, second year 1990.
Yep.
Seabox had. There was a lot of SAFA clubs. SAFA was imploding
right,
at that
yeah,
time,
of
so there was a lot
course,
of SAFA clubs coming through, and they were sort of putting them into that Div 5, Div 4 level. So the first year we were the best of the rest. I think you had Tea Tree Gully. My first 2 games for Seabox were Tea Tree Gully and Modbury straight out of SAFA.
Oh, right.
I got 2 30-goal hidings in a
Wow.
row. Not unusual because I come from South, but I'm thinking, bloody hell.
I coached them.
Mate, you know all about it. You see it firsthand. But as the season progressed, we were getting better.
Yep.
And by the time the season had finished, we were probably the next best team past Modbury.
Yeah, that hadn't had that experience.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
And so we obviously went into the 90 season, and again, we're improving all the way through.
Yeah.
I got to round 17, snapped the hamstring, missed the final series, and the boys went on to win the flag. And that was my last
But they've done
opportunity.
it for you. They've done it for you. There's no
Not from what I saw on the Saturday night, mate. They were seeking
all
more
about you?
beers. Yeah. I was in the corner crying, and they were just smashing beers.
There's honestly no worse feeling than missing out the flag. Is
Oh, yeah, look, and I think the thing about which obviously last year winning the
It was a
A
great
grade,
year, wasn't it?
Yeah, it
for
was a
CBC?
fantastic year, and
Great year.
40th anniversary.
Yeah.
To have success in both the B grade and the A grade. And my 2 sons playing, and they're young guys, 22 and 20.
Yeah.
And as I tried to tell them, you've got to make the most of these opportunities,
Yeah.
because when
Yeah,
I was
it's so
at
true.
19, I thought, okay, I've missed out on this one, but I'll get another chance.
Yeah, that's
Look
right.
at the team I've got here.
Yeah.
But when you're a part of an old scholars side, as you would know, Anna, because you've coached,
Yeah, I've coached
at
them.
that level as well.
They go.
They go.
Yeah.
Because they get
Work
job offers,
commitments or whatever the
correct,
case may be, yeah.
promotions, they move interstate, they move overseas, and your team that's looking great here
Is not necessarily going to be great just there, yeah.
Correct. So
You've had some great coaches though
we have
over the years.
Here we go. He has been writing these questions, hasn't he?
Rocky Butterworth, Butterworth won, of course, and
Yes.
I think he was a premiership coach for you guys.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
Rocky's a life member of the football
Yep.
club. He is our longest-serving coach.
Yep.
Very happy
And
with myself here as well.
yeah, he is.
He's waving at you now.
Yeah. One
Haven't
of,
showed his head until now, so we'll start talking about him.
Correct, but he coached probably the unwinnable premiership in 2004, and it was a pretty special moment, because I went to that game thinking we're probably going to get touched up by 10 goals here.
Yeah.
We hadn't gotten close
All
to
year?
Fitzroy hadn't lost a game.
Wow.
And we hadn't got within about 10 goals, and on the day The coaching, Rocky's coaching, our assistant coaches, the game plan they rolled out for the day and the matchups, so much work. Oh yeah, look, so much preparation. I've got a lot of admiration for Rocky. His preparation is really first class.
And you won by how much?
A few points, I think. 3 or 4. In fact, I think we were behind. We were in front all day, and then got behind with about 30 seconds to go, and then got in front.
Rocky tells me the story. Actually, the pack went up in sort of the goal square.
Correct.
It sort of went over the back, and there was a CBC player by himself in the goal square. He's grabbed it, kicked it. Then the siren's gone. So he's won it. They've won it with 5 seconds to go.
So my cousin...
What a great win of the premiership.
Well,
he would have celebrated hard, the guy that's kicked that night.
Absolutely. My cousin, who I was standing next to, he was doing the time.
Yeah.
And he turned to... When Fitzroy hit the front, he turned to me with tears streaming down his face.
That was going to be it.
He said, "We can't win this. There's not enough time." And 15 seconds later, he's turned back to me and said, "We can't lose this. There's not enough time." We were in front, so yeah.
Well, Simon, thank you so much for
my
joining
pleasure.
us.
Thanks for inviting me.
What you've done for CBC is absolutely outstanding, and I know you've got 30 years of stories. But what you've done for the amateur league as well, I know that's been a really huge bonus for South Australian football. So congratulations, all the best for the rest of the year.
Thanks, mate. Thanks, boys.
Thank you.
And we'll be back after the break. On the couch with Ando with John Cunningham. John, can you believe I've got my own segment called On the Couch with Ando? But before we start drilling you, the segment's brought to you by Rachel Laurie from Ray White, North Adelaide. I know Rachel, she's a great supporter of local sports in the area, that's for sure.
Right.
So thanks to Rachel. John, I was chatting before, from Geelong into Nord, but tell us about the experience of being drafted. Was it your favourite club? Was it the club that you wanted to go to? Or was it, wow, I got drafted?
Well, it was. I grew up in Melbourne. Dad was a member of Hawthorn's first premiership team, so I was actually came through the junior ranks at Hawthorn. So like 15s, 17s, under 19s. Yeah. And then in Victoria at that time, they got rid of all the under 19 teams of the Victorian clubs, and they started up the new under 18 competition. So I sort of got caught up in that system. I played Teal Cup in '91, which was like Scotty West era and all that, Mark McCurry, and so it's quite a talented year. But I was a bit smaller, and so then I played Northern Knights in under 18s for the first year of that competition.
Oh, okay, yeah. So can I ask you, the Teal Cup, did you have the Metro and the countryside back at the
yeah. So we played up in Darwin. It was up in Darwin, the competition, and South Australia actually won the comp.
Right?
They knocked us off in the final. So they had quite a talented. They had Benny Hart and and Rue and so a fair few stars at the time. So yeah, it was that was the system that it was just a change in the guard, I suppose, of how footy development was. And I played half a season with Port Melbourne under Damien Drum, who was a former Geelong player, and got drafted in the '93 half-year in the June draft. So. And then all of a sudden I was at the Cats.
It would have been exciting.
Yeah, it was. It was. Geelong was amazing. It was big names.
Oh, big names.
Gary Ablett and Paul Couch and Barry Stoneham and Billy Brownless and Bairstow, Hoggett. So it was just everywhere you looked when you walked in the place, there was
household names.
Yeah, superstars. So it was a great place to be as a young player. So
your first game would have been special for Geelong.
It took a while.
It took a while. Okay.
I nearly got a game the first few weeks, actually. I came down with some good form and played the first three in the reserves and was in really good form. And I had a meeting with Blighty, and that was all intimidating. And as a 19-year-old, and if you had your time again, I would have said, "Yep, ready to go. Pick me." But so it took me another 2 years to get the game. But it was just such a strong list, and they didn't have many injuries at the time. They played in the grand final in '94, and then
powerful club.
Another one in '95, and so for a young guy trying to break in, it was
first game was against.
We played at Cardinia Park against Fitzroy.
Well, at least it was at home, so that was good.
That was
good. Something pretty special.
I didn't get on until halfway through the third quarter. Ayresy sat me on the bench for a fair while. And then so I got on and had a bit of a go. Then the next week we played Footscray at Western Oval, who both those were on the lower end of the ladder at the time, and we won both games quite easily. And and then Buddha Hocking came back from injury after that, and then I made
then you're back in
made way for him.
Yeah, that's it. I've got to. I mean, you touched on your dad, 1961.
Yeah.
Premiership for Hawthorn. Wow.
Yeah.
So he would have played with some unbelievable players, and what a great era of football.
It was amazing. They had 107,000 people at the G in '61. Teddy Whitten was captain of the Bulldogs.
The opposition side, of course. 107,000 people.
Brendan Edwards was the star for Hawthorn, and John Kennedy, the famous coach, was the coach of Hawthorn. So there's
no more famous than there's Kevin Sheedy, but you look at John Kennedy is the one. It was when I went to a function and Dave Parkin was speaking, and of course he was a famous coach for Carlton, and he had finished his football at Hawthorn. The following year he became an assistant coach at Hawthorn to John Kennedy.
Yep.
And a few of the players were saying, look, Dave, can you get into John's ear, because all we seem to be doing is circle work, going around and around and around and around. And so John got the courage. Dave got the courage up and said, look, John, everyone's sort of complaining about the training a bit. We're just doing circle work. We're going around and we're going around and around. So he said, to John's credit, he thought about what I'd said, and he goes, put all the players in. He goes, okay, well, we're doing the circle work, and you're sick of going around and around. What we'll do, we'll do circle work. We're going to go the other way. We're going to go the other way. And if you think about footy today, that's what happens. It goes down one side, switches plays, and it goes around, and then it goes that side, switches plays. So to be able to be said that you've been, you're coached by the great John Kennedy, what it must have been for your dad and your family.
It was. They were very. My dad was only 20 at the time. It was his 5th game of league footy. So big moment, one of those moments, just a moment in time where he was
5th game, league football, 107,000 people.
And in those days, they had to pick the starting 18, and that was the team.
Of course,
the 2 on the bench were just there in case someone
just in case
was injured. So to actually get picked on the ground
starting 18 would be absolutely
was a big effort, and I think he kicked 1 goal, 4, and had 20 odd possessions, and so he did it right.
Just a lazy premiership player, the old man.
Growing up, obviously, to play on the G was a bit of a drag. I got to play on the G a few times, which was great. But as you would know, it's a great place to play.
It's a great place. You've also played on Adelaide Oval, like myself, and that also is a great place. So we're pretty lucky, aren't we?
We are.
You've made Adelaide your home, which is fantastic. So, did you think when you came over to play for Nord, and you played well over 100 games, and played in grand finals, and had a wonderful career at Nord? Did you think you were going to go back to Melbourne?
Well, initially, when I got to this from Geelong, I sort of felt I'd been a bit sort of cut, early than without being given enough opportunity. So when I came over here, I suppose my thought process was to really have a crack at trying to get back on a list. So I didn't really come here with the vision of I was going to be here forever, but just through circumstance. You meet some great people, and I had a lot of mates who come over from Victoria as well who are still here too. So it was just a great time in life to maybe make a move, and Nord was a great club. They really took us in, and we met some great people who welcomed you into their homes, and used to go around once a week for a meal, and so that was great.
And what about state football, the local league state football? Were you eligible for South Australia, or?
Well, it's interesting you say that. When my first year, '96, we weren't allowed to play for the state because we were. First year out of the AFL system.
I knew there was
which I at the time I felt a bit disappointed with, because I came over trying to get redrafted, and then there I was not allowed to
play state footy, which is the next level,
which was to give you some bit of exposure to recruiters, and so it was a bit of a. I don't know. I found that bemusing a little bit, but that
makes sense. But
that was the system at the time, and it was a week off.
But were you then eligible to play state footy?
So 97 I was injured, so I missed that year, and then 98 I played. I was fortunate enough to play for South Australia, which was fantastic. We played against WA at Footy Park, and it was that's one of my great memories of
But it's brilliant. To come from Victoria, and And to make South Australia home, you made Norwood. I mean, you're a household name at Norwood. And then the next step is, hey, I've played state footy as well.
Yeah, it was really playing footy.
You would have never thought that in Darwin. You would have never thought that in
Darwin.
Darwin.
Pull on the SA Guernsey, but we had a lot of pride in the team we were playing for, and
It is the best Guernsey too, by the way.
yeah.
So you agree with me now?
I don't know where it is actually. I think it's at home. I think Dad's got it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, it was. It's a great one of those things. You when you end up in a certain competition, if you can play at the highest level and play against other guys from other states, and that, as you would know.
You mentioned your knee. Did it put you out of the business for a little while? Was it more?
Yeah,
of a strain,
I had a full knee reco at the start of the '97 season.
Yeah.
So I was under the pump a little bit with whether I could get back towards the end of the season, but the surgeon sort of said that the rest of my knee was fine. I just sort of snapped the anterior.
Okay. Yeah.
So I decided to have a crack and fortunately forced my way back in.
Yeah, touch wood and everything happened.
Yeah. So
and now, look, obviously, you're coaching the Rams, the Galunga Rams. It's is that something new? You've always dabbled in a bit of coaching.
Yeah, well, I coached a little bit after I finished at Norwood with Pembroke Old Scholars in the Amateur League, which I really did enjoy.
Yeah.
And then we, through young family, and we bought a business, and just circumstance, you fall out of it. And then through circumstance again, I've fallen back into it with we've got twin girls who started playing girls footy about 3 years ago with the under-12s at Glenunga. So
and how are they going?
They're going well.
They shone a little bit of
they're going all right.
JC sort of style.
Yeah, there's two of them that are so they're identical twins, so they've got different styles the way they play, but they've just haven't quite learnt yet that they could actually be a good team. They tend to want to have a go at each other about where they're at in the field. But
does the coach get the best players right though?
Well, that's always a contentious
you know what?
issue.
I think that daughter should have been best player. Probably not that daughter. You might have.
Sometimes just leave them out.
Because I reckon, I always say this, because Dave Brenville used to have, it's very similar to the head of mine. I reckon I used to get some of his stats. Anyway.
Oh, Ando. You were good with the votes, Ando. You always got lots of votes, Ando. I remember plenty of votes.
Thanks very much for joining us. Absolutely brilliant. You've made yourself a household name here in South Australia. Just a wonderful player for North and South Australia. What a career move, and to be so successful, mate. Well done.
Thanks, Ando.
Fantastic.
Pleasure. Cheers, mate.
Back after the break.
Cheers.
And a great show so far again tonight, mate.
Isn't it great being live though at the Alma Hotel? I know the Roo was with us before, and I think he's behind the bar at the moment. So there's a lot of action happening. It's just
good crowd
great.
again,
it's good
mate.
fun.
The crowd's building each and every week as well. But favourite segment, the stock report, and it's brought to you by David Pittman and Taylor Collison.
My old mate Davey Pittman. Yeah, the old mate Dave sponsoring something. That's good.
And some big names here as well. I've noticed as well. We've gone a lot in the terms of players, and the first one as well. I'm very happy to start with, and that's Ben Brown from North Melbourne. Where do you see?
Well, it's interesting. I know you're a North supporter, and I was a bit disappointed with this game, especially up to half time. I don't think he had much of the pill at all, and obviously they weren't getting the ball into the forward line, but he still wasn't really given much of an option as well. When I was watching the game, and he sort of got in a bit in the last part. So you need to be more consistent than what he's showing at the moment, But the club's at the moment not that consistent either. So
shocking spot. Yeah.
I don't think at the moment you can't blame a forward line player because the engine's not working. And we had to go at Tex, and we had to go at Joshy Jenkins, of course. And the last couple of weeks, the engine's together. They're pounding into the forward line. Eddie Betts is getting plenty of it. Lynch is really back. So, that'll happen once the engine starts, working nicely for North Melbourne sometime this year.
Yeah, well, I don't think it's going to happen
hold.
this year.
I'm saying hold.
Hold.
And yourself, interesting.
Yeah, I was there get to my one game at Adelaide Oval a year to watch the Roos, and thank God the beers were free because it was tough as a supporter.
Yeah.
My issue with him is he's a one-trick pony. He can only lead up and take the footy out in front.
Yeah.
He doesn't crash packs. He doesn't put his body on the line, and he doesn't bring the ball to ground.
Yeah.
So that's fair enough if he does that. But we need someone. We need someone to complement him that can crash the packs. And I thought young Nick Larkey showed a little bit. But Benny Brown's a one-trick pony for me. He's not a key forward. He's your second string forward, I reckon. But the other thing that worries me with him as well, he clocks up the most kilometres each week on the ground out of most teams.
His work rate's fantastic.
So what worries me is where the hell's he running to is what worries me.
So I reckon,
are you
holding or you?
I'm holding, but he's not the number one forward.
He
that
really
everyone
misses
puts him up.
Petrie.
Yeah.
Petrie's, he was your go-to smash and bash centre arm forward. The nice lead to the pocket was brilliant. It was a lovely combination. He hasn't got that anymore, and it makes it hard.
So I'm holding. It's not his fault. We've just got to find someone that can complement Brown.
Yeah.
Is what we need to do. But mate, we'll move on to the next one, and club that we keep saying is going to get good and they're still letting us down, and that's Nathan Jones from Melbourne. The skipper,
the skipper,
co-captain, I should say.
I'm nearly going to sell. I think today's footy. You look at Rosie, Butters, and some of the really young players. Elliot, Mimmelberg. What a star he's been for the Crows last week.
Got the rising
Keith
star
as well. So there's a lot of young players that are up and coming, and I think as an on-baller now, I don't think he has that running power, that disposal. They go in and get the ball. He's fine getting the ball from the back.
Yeah.
He's getting a lot of that, and I think perhaps Melbourne don't need a player like that at the moment. So I'm sort of thinking about maybe sell, which is a big call for me because I always sit on the fence all the time.
Yeah, it's
But I think it's time for a couple of the younger players to show their flair.
Yeah.
And go in and get the ball and just run with it. And at the moment, he's demanding the balls in not great spots.
Well, he's always been the ball for them, and it looks like he's trying to play too much outside for me. So I agree, he's probably got niggles in the body, getting on in age.
Yeah.
I think for Melbourne to go forward, I'm with you, Ando. They got to sell him and move on.
Yeah, okay, that's good.
Now, from Sydney as well, Johnny Longmire, coach of Sydney. This is an interesting one for me, actually.
Well, look, Neil Baum always said, once you take a coaching role, you're one day closer to getting sacked. And I know
that full well.
And I know that. I do know that. Thanks for bringing it up. Anyway, look, Sydney are struggling. Are they as bad as what they're showing, which is at the moment 1-5? I don't know. I don't think they've. There's too many party tricks at the Swansland at the moment. I don't know what new we can bring to the table with a side that really should be playing better than they're showing on the field. And from that you've got to look outside the playing group, I think.
Yeah.
And that's whether it's him as a coach or the coaching support.
Yep.
You look at Neil Baum. Neil Baum when he went to Richmond. Everyone thought Hardwick was going to get sacked. Yep. He sacked everyone else around Hardwick, but kept him.
Yeah.
So obviously there was something at that top end that they thought, well, we've got to make changes, but we're not going to change the coach. I thought it was brilliant by Neil Baum when he went to Richmond. So
the assistants nowadays have as much say as the coaches.
No question.
If not, they're probably more analysing more than the coach. The assistants are.
They certainly are not a 1-5. I think North Melbourne, with a few of their injuries, and a few of I think they probably their recruiting was okay, but they needed to replace a Petrie.
Yeah.
And they just replaced they're replacing players with running players. They've got enough running players.
We've got the outside.
They've got the outside players.
Yeah.
I think Sydney they're not a 1-5.
Well, I'll tell you what's going to happen. I would hold on Longmire. He's a proven coach.
Okay.
He's a good coach, but I'll tell you what will happen. Sydney will sell him.
Yeah.
He'll be at North Melbourne coaching next year.
Okay.
Johnny Longmire.
Yeah.
That's my call. But as well, we'll get on to the next one, but I think he's as much of a detriment to Johnny Longmire as a coach as any player on that Sydney list, and that's Buddy Franklin.
Yeah, look, he's
done.
It could be time. It could be time. He's been obviously one of the all-time great players. I think his consistency is questionable now. Apparently, he's not training as
10
much.
10 minutes with the group a week.
You can't do that. You can't do that when 22 guys are going out to battle.
Yeah.
I used to love Andrew Jarman saying we're going out to war. That's what it means. So if you're not preparing, as a 22 or a squad, but you're only doing 10, you can't do it.
Yeah,
You can't do it. And so it shows maybe perhaps John Longmire needs to get stronger to what they've created around Sydney Swans.
Well, they brought Buddy in as the final piece.
But is he to blame, John Meyer to blame, for letting Buddy train 10 minutes? I reckon that's ridiculous.
Well, that's your sports scientist. That's your strength and conditioning.
Well, as a coach, you've got to say, hang on, I've got to put 22 players out in the field. They all got to play as one. They're not. They're 1 and 5. And when things breed, they breed rapidly, and that doesn't matter. Right. I'm saying that could be a Div 7 side or an elite side.
Yeah.
When it breeds, and maybe he's let something happen there.
Yeah, I agree.
That's
and people forget how good they
Mm.
are when that's happening. And I think I back my sources at Ando, and you're on the money. The 22 or the squad of 30 that are in that senior Sydney side. They're not big Buddy fans anymore.
Yeah.
Which Sydney brought him in to win.
Oh, he was fantastic. I mean,
they failed. They should have won a couple. Should have beaten the Dogs in 16 who had the run on. 14 they should have. They come up against a very good Hawthorn.
Outstanding.
Very good. But
look, he's been brilliant for him.
He's been good. He's
but
been
if you're
good
only
for the game up there.
If you only can train 10 minutes, maybe it's over.
And do you reckon he'll slip back to a Hawthorn?
He could do it. Yeah, refresh him up.
He'll go back.
It'd be good way to do it. So the other one, Joshy Jenkins. I know he's been. I've always said hold. Yep. He's kicked 3 goals. He's gone back last week. Played against Centrals. He got I think close to 20 possession. He rucked really well. Kicked 3 goals. I know the young lad.
Are you selling on Buddy?
Buddy, I'm selling.
Selling?
Sorry,
We're
I'm
on to
selling.
Joshy Jenkins.
Joshy Jenkins, just very quickly.
3 weeks in a row.
Yeah, I know. I just felt bad last week. I felt bad, but he's gone back and he's done all the right things.
He did the right
He's put his hands up, probably not up enough to get over Himmelberg, because he was great.
He's been good.
Last
good
week,
young talent.
fantastic.
And tell you what, he's a very, very big size as well.
Yeah.
Himmelberg. But no, that's I think Jenkins has got to do it for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I'm still holding on him, but I'm worried that the club, what he's come out and done in the media, may affect that.
Now, as a stock report, do you think Taylor Collinson's are happy with us? Do you reckon we've made him any money?
We should.
Well, we're doing our best, Dave. We're doing our best.
This is the best segment
Fantastic.
of the night.
Absolutely brilliant. And we'll be back after the break.